Financial disclaimer. Veltrxa is not a financial advisor. Cryptocurrency trading and investing involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Only invest what you can afford to lose. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always conduct your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions.
Well, welcome everybody to this presentation of the Veltrxa Ecosystem. And my name is Jiva Sam. I'm based in Canada. I'm a retired pastor, and I have been connected with the people behind this system for quite some time, some longer than others. And so it's out of a personal relationship that I was invited to Dubai about a month ago to meet with the owners and the founders. And I already had some idea of what the ecosystem was about, but what I saw there just blew me away, and I got very, very excited and started sharing with people as soon as I got back. And now some of you are here at my invitation. Some of you, you found out about this through one of our groups, or you were invited by someone who's already a part of our ecosystem. No matter what brought you here, I just want to first of all welcome you to this presentation. I'm going to take about 30 minutes to go through the presentation. And if you have any questions at the end of the presentation, we'll allow you to unmute yourself and ask those questions out loud. But if something pressing comes up in the meantime, just put something in the chat and I will make sure that I can answer it as I go by. All right, so before we get going with this presentation, we want to make a financial disclaimer that Veltrxa is not a financial advisor, neither am I. Cryptocurrency trading and investing involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Only invest what you can afford to lose. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and always conduct your own research and consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions. And that applies to anything you do, and especially to what we are sharing this evening. So let's start with the question. How much interest is your bank actually paying you on your savings, your checking account, your CDs, or in Canada, we call them GICs, guaranteed income certificates, or in some parts of the world, they're called term deposits or some other vehicle, some other name for that particular vehicle. So this is really funny because just this morning or yesterday, I got a notice in the mail from a bank, and the bank says, "Hey, I just want to let you know that the high interest savings that we were offering on your account is disappearing as of July something, and it'll go back to the regular rate of 0.55% per year." So savings accounts typically under 0% per year today. The certificates of deposit, if you give your money to the bank for a longer period of time, then 3 to 4%. And one of my friends who's a chartered accountant told me one day, "Hey, Jiva, if you really want to know what you're making, you should take the interest that the bank is giving you at the end of a year, all the fees you paid for maintaining that account throughout the year, and then factor in the rate of inflation. And more often than not, you'll find that you actually didn't make anything on what you thought you were making, because the inflation and all the fees would basically ate up any gains that you made." And so this is a huge problem. Unfortunately, we don't hear a lot about inflation. Every once in a while, we might get something in the news. The cost of living went up by this and that, and so on. But the fact of the matter is, many reputable financial analysts say that the rate of inflation that the government publishes is actually not the actual rate of inflation. And most of us know that that is the case because what we are paying for groceries, for gasoline, for purchases of cars, homes, whatever it may be, is not exactly the same as what the official rate of inflation is, right? And so the real buying power of what we deposit has gone down over the course of a year. That's just the way the money works. in our system. So what we want is something that will protect our money against inflation, offers a fair, meaningful return on your savings, gives you freedom to move money anywhere, anytime, and puts you in control, not a bank or a government. So here's something that at least some of you who are on this call can relate to, because we move money from where we are to parts of the world. Like one of the groups that I'm running into a fair bit is uh, people from other nations who are working here. They come on a work permit, and now they're trying to send money back to their family, and seldom do any of them use the banking system, for all sorts of reasons. And so they resort to other means like Western Union, Remitly, some of those vehicles that are available, and that doesn't come cheap. So they work hard for their money, and when they want to send it home to support their family, they're giving up a fair bit of it because the fees stack up fast. And if you ever try to send a wire, then you know what I'm talking about. It's not just the fees that you pay, but the fees that people pay at the other end to receive the wire transfer from you. And some of you, like me, you support ministries all over the world. And there are times when you're not able to do that, or you have all sorts of obstacles that are thrown in your way. One of them is the delay, that you have to endure in order to send these amounts, funds, for a good cause. And sometimes banks will put limits on how much you can transfer, especially, if you send to certain countries that are on a naughty list with the banks, then they can actually block what you're sending and say, no, you take your money back. And of course, there's this whole other issue of being able to do this only during banking hours. And so, if there's an emergency somewhere, here's an example that we actually happened to one of our friends, where somebody is running a makeshift hospital, the roof caves in, they need 10,000 immediately. Well, again, it's outside of banking hours, and so you cannot use the traditional system to send it. Secondly, you'll have to wait a while, and the need was very urgent. They had to do something in a hurry, and so instead, it was done through a decentralized system, which meant that the people at the other end received what they needed in seconds, and they were able to put that to good use right away as well. All they had to do was to have a mobile phone, which today, as you realize, people in virtually any part of the world tend to have mobile phones. So, what we are talking about today, Veltrxa, Veltempera, is the next generation financial ecosystem, which in some ways, is like the banking system. It offers all the services and products that you would find with a traditional bank. However, there's one critical difference, and you'll hear the word decentralized quite a bit throughout this presentation, and that is because there's no single person or institution in control. It is really an autonomous AI-powered system, which means you cannot have somebody interfere with it once something is set in place. So there will be some terms that we use that you may or may not be familiar with. In traditional banking, we talk about a bank. In the Veltrxa ecosystem, we talk about an exchange. In banks, you have a bank account. We call the bank account a wallet address. We have savings, CDs, GICs, term deposits. Here we call it a staking account. We have a debit card in the traditional banking system. And of course, there are limits that are placed, which we'll cover in a minute. We have a Visa debit card with no limits. Wire transfers, instant transfer, 2 to 4% annual return. We're talking a minimum of 36% yield per year in staking returns. And here's the most important thing is you actually have total control of your money, and you're not beholden to any institution. So we have 4 products in this ecosystem right now that we want to talk to you about. Number one product is called staking. And think of staking as your new high yield savings account. Excuse me, the letter that I got from the bank I think they called it a high interest savings account. And for a certain period of time, they were incentivizing us to deposit more money in there by giving us a higher than normal interest rate. Here with staking, you get a high interest rate, if you want to call it that, or higher return, and really it'll be significantly higher than any bank will ever offer you. So think of staking as a high yield savings account. So what are some of the yields that we're offering right now? And also just want to let you know this is a introductory promotional rate. These rates will all change as of the 1st of September. And so right now your timing is impeccable to be able to take advantage of the higher rates right now. So for 180-day deposit, or staking, you get 36% annual yield or 3% a month. 360 days, about a year, 4% a month, 720 days, 5%, 1,000 days, 66% a year or 5.5% a month. Now, two things I want you to notice. First of all, the interest is paid out every single day into that wallet that we talked about, which is like your bank account. So you get the interest, the return every day, and you can withdraw also any day that you want to, as long as you have a minimum of 10 US dollars worth of the tokens that we're going to talk about in a minute. So, how is Veltrxa different? Well, your bank, even though they pay you like a very, very small interest rate in as returns, they actually make a lot more than what they're paying you out. A few years ago, I got introduced to a company, actually it's based in Israel, called Endotech, and Endotech specialized in providing very high yields for hedge funds, banks, high income, no, that's not the right word, high net worth people, and so on. And we had an opportunity to, get in with on an experimental program that they were doing. And that's when I found out the kind of returns that banks are making with our money, and yet they pay us very little. Now, you also know why banks always are very, very profitable. And, in terms of, people who are investing in the stock market, you can never go wrong with bank stocks, is one of the kind of the basic principles that you hear, simply because the rate of return that they make is way higher than what they have to pay out. So in Veltrxa, on the other hand, with this whole system, our ecosystem, you get the 100% annual return back to the people who are actually doing the investing. So if you're guaranteed 4% a month, just we looked at a while ago, you get all of it. Nothing is held back by the ecosystem. So one of the questions always were asked is, well, this sounds really, really good, but how do I know that you will actually be able to pay me? Or don't you have to generate all this interest that you're going to be paying us? Well, the answer is actually we don't, because we transitioned from a centralized to a decentralized system. Our owners, our founders, did something very, very wise. They actually took what it would take to pay that 3%, 4%, 5.5% that we saw a while ago, uh, and they took that amount, and they actually put it away in a wallet. So in other words, when we get our daily payments, the funds for that are already there. And so you will be paid out. They don't have to make new profits, create new returns, additional returns in order to be able to pay us out. So you never have to worry about getting paid out. And so you and also want to point out that your returns are paid in the token of our ecosystem, which is called Velt. And I'll show this in a minute, but Velt uh, has a value. So when you go and buy some or swap some of your other cryptocurrencies into Velt, it'll tell you. And right now, I just checked it before I got on the call. The value of Velt is 0.000824 is the actual number that I saw. Now, in other words, when you are staking, Let's say you're taking $100 worth of Velt. That's what you're going to just multiply it by that number. That's how many tokens you're going to get. However, as the value of wealth goes up, the value of your returns also goes up. Now, you can go to this website that I have there called www.veltrxa.com and calculate this for yourself. Now, just for fun, I did a calculation before we got on this call, just to show you the kind of returns that are possible. And so I put again, like a fairly small amount of $1,000 into the staking arrangement, and the current value, and this particular one is actually invested for 360 days, the number that you see in green at the bottom. And so the rate is 48% APY, or 4% a month. And so I'm just using a scenario where the value of the token, by the time the staking period is over, at the end of this 360 days, just doubles. So rather than 0.00082007, it goes up to 0.000, sorry, 0.00164114. The total projected yield is, in other words, your 1,000 grows to $2,473.06. Now, 1,000 is the principal that you get back. 473.06 is the return that you're promised, and the appreciation of the token, because we've just used a scenario where it doubles. Now, if that token more than doubles, which many experts say that a utility token like ours will do that, then that yield could be multiplied. Your token gain would be way more than the 1,000 that we're showing here. So when you can consider that, you can pretty well tell that you're not going to get these kind of returns in any of a conventional financial institutions, banks, credit unions, etc. Right? So the question always been to ask is, anytime somebody promises these kind of returns, like your antenna must go up and ask the question, is this for real? Is this because this sounds like a scam? I've been scammed before. I've been promised amazing returns and then had the rug pulled from under me, or they never kept their word. They shut down all that kind of stuff. So and of course not that's not the problem. The problem also is that they knew when they first introduced the program, the platform, that they were going to do it. So they were scamming you right off the bat. How do I know that this is not a scam? Well, there are certain instruments that are put in place, websites, whatever you want to call them. These are independent groups that will actually look at what this token is about, and all the factors that go into it, and they'll give you an audit report, or they will screen them. And by the way, it says it's listed and tracked on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and Binance and so on. They will not list something that has anything shady about it. And so they put it through their own test before they will list it. And I'm going to just show you. Again, by the way, you can go and check all of these live. And if you want links, you can ask me, and I'll be glad to provide them for you. But here's a summary of what CertIC, which is kind of the industry standard, tells about Veltrxa in their audit. And you can look at all the check marks. If it was anything scammy at all, then you would not get check marks for all those factors. And I don't fully understand all of them, but I know that when CertIC says you're clean, that is a standard, the gold standard of legitimacy has been given to us because we're transparent, auditable, unchangeable. In other words, a human being cannot go in there and manipulate these numbers. Now, the second product that we're very excited about is called a Visa, Veltrxa Visa Debit Card. And some of the features that set this debit card apart from any other debit card. By the way, when you look at it, it'll look like a typical bank issued Visa debit card. It's got the Visa label on it. But here's some things that are very important for us to understand. First of all, this is issued directly by Visa. It doesn't come through a third-party provider. It is accepted everywhere. Like we've had some of our team use the debit card. Some of them were using it when we were in Dubai. Our friend Steve just used it wherever he's vacationing. I think it's in Turkey, and with no problem there. I know friends in India who are using it on a consistent basis, and so it's accepted globally. And here's the good news: is that you can spend your funds, your wealth tokens, instantly. It'll automatically convert it to the currency of wherever you're using that, and you can use that as a point of sale for a cup of coffee, groceries, a car, a house, whatever it is, as long as you have enough tokens in there, then you can use this card to spend. Now, if you're familiar with any crypto cards issued by other crypto companies, I think the first one that came out with a card that I'm aware of is crypto.com. Virtually every other crypto card will require you to convert your token to a stable coin before you can spend it. And that means you're going to lose some of the gains that you made, the returns that you made in fees. Whereas with Veltrxa, your Vel token converts directly, zero conversion fees. Secondly, debit cards generally have spending limits. You can only spend so much a day, so much a week. Those are like bank imposed or Visa imposed limits. Our Veltrxa card has no limits. If you have the tokens, you can spend it anywhere. And you can also spend it or use it in countries where sometimes European bank cards are routinely blocked. This one works, and our friend Steve, that's what he did. He used a card that was, he's from Holland, so he's had that experience of not being able to use European cards in some countries, but with the Veltrxa card, no problem. So here's the one of the genius factors about this Veltrxa debit card is that it is available to anyone anywhere that has a mobile phone. And so somebody who is extremely wealthy, like somebody lives, from living in a Dubai penthouse, can use it. But so can someone who is living in a poorer part of the world, where and I ran into this firsthand. When we tried to support somebody in another country, and we couldn't do it through the banking system because they did not have the ability to set up a bank account because they had no birth certificate, no ID that the banking system would recognize, and of course, if we send it through one of the other companies, most of them, if they lived in a small village, would not have an outlet for that company right there. So sometimes they'd have to spend hours getting to wherever that was located to get that. Here, you can actually buy things, with your debit card on your phone, digital card, or with a physical card. The third product that we are offering right now in this ecosystem is actually the AI marketplace. Now, this, kind of still boggles my mind when I hear about what is available here. But these are AI tools that can make life really, really easy for businesses. And so, uh, well, just recently, I heard about a company, I believe it's in Holland, that got one of these AI tools to basically do their payroll. I'm sure, I think that I heard they had over 100 people on their payroll. So they can, rather than having somebody do it manually, they basically purchased an AI agent from our marketplace. And you have the ability to actually do this with companies as more information becomes available. Now, here's the genius part of this is that when people buy this, they have to pay with wealth tokens and not the currency of their country. What does that mean? Because the more wealth tokens are in circulation, the more its value is going to go up. And so that makes a tremendous difference. Remember, we talked about what if the value just doubles? Well, when more of these become available, the value of that token can go not just two times, but even more. All right. And so there'll be a trading bot, content creation, arbitrage bot. If you don't know what these are, don't worry about it. I don't fully understand all of this either, but it's all done by AI. Which, as you know, is really the talk of the world right now. Product number four is real world assets, tokenization of real world assets. And this is a change that is happening, and not everybody is aware of it. As a matter of fact, Larry Fink, who's one of the top CEOs in the world, says that everything is going to be tokenized, and real estate, gold, luxury watches. So a simple way to explain it is, for example, let's say you have a penthouse in Dubai that's worth $4 million. Well, you cannot afford $4 million. At least maybe most of us cannot. However, you can own a piece of that uh, penthouse for, let's say, as little as $300, because it is digitized, it is tokenized, and once again, when you purchase these things, you have to do it with Velt. And so now again, you're bypassing the banking system completely. It's totally decentralized. There's that word again. And so what happens is that as the value of the penthouse goes up, the value of your $300 share also goes up. And now, and you can do this with real estate, with gold, commodities, luxury watches, high value assets. There you go. They're all shown there, and so this again is beginning to be introduced to us in the community, and you can take advantage of it. And there are other people that who are looking for someone like you to give them access to this. So here are the four Veltrxa products right now, offering high yield savings, 36 to 66% yield per year, paid daily. Also, you can withdraw them anytime you want to. A Visa debit card, there is no limits, no conversion fees, and works globally. The AI marketplace with trading bars, content creation, and all the other stuff that not it's a specialized product. Let's put it that way. But when somebody's looking for it, we can provide it. Real world assets, tokenization are the four things. Okay. Now, why is Veltrxa different from every other crypto project? First of all, it's past the scrutiny of the four biggest verification platforms in all of crypto. No rug pull is possible. It's really an amazing thing that they shared with us about how it is impossible for even the owners independently to access the wallets. It's all very, very airtight. Now, again, you may not know what hobby letters and regulatory compliance these things are, but these are very, very high, strict standards that need to be met, and we have met them. And there are staking locks put in place that somebody cannot do a mass sell-off, and all of a sudden the token drops in value, and people lose their shirt. The whales, that's why when we looked at the audit from Certic, it said something about anti-whale because that is built in there. So all of that to say that here you have a very unique ecosystem that you can be part of. And not only can you be part of it, you can actually share with others. Because like when I saw what this is all about, my immediate question was, my brain went into motion and said, who can I share this with that will want to be blessed by what this is offering? Who do I know that was expecting to retire comfortably and is not able to because they're not getting the returns that they thought they would, or they're getting the returns but inflation has eaten away at their value? Who do I know that is struggling to make transfers of funds to family and to ministries and charities and other parts of the world? Well, every one of them, is a good candidate for me to share with. I mean, they have to make up their own mind as to what they do want to do with it or not. But I know that I'm literally not going to run out of people that I can share this with. So when you do that, you're, basically called an ambassador or a partner. And when you introduce somebody and they start staking, you earn rewards. And you can find out all the details actually when you get registered and go on your website. So how do you get started? You create a wallet, a decentralized wallet. An exchange account does not actually work. And so the two most common ones that we've seen people use are MetaMask and Trust. And then secondly, you link your wallet to the Veltrxa platform in seconds. And then you basically take what's in your MetaMask wallet and start staking. And really, some of this may sound very technical, but you don't need technical experience. As a matter of fact, one of our team, Rihanna, has actually produced some very simple videos that if you just follow them, you'll be able to download the wallet. I just had somebody the other day who has never had a decentralized wallet before, just last night actually. She downloaded the MetaMask wallet just by following that video, and the onboarding, we make it as simple, as accessible as possible. So, the thing that we need to realize is that whether we want to admit it or not, will accept it or not, we are moving, the world of finance is moving towards tokenization, digitization, decentralization. We're a little bit ahead of the game, to be honest with you. We are forerunners, pioneers, whatever you want to call it. It's a little bit like, when Bitcoin came on the scene in 2008. I think it was available for $1 at that time. But people just did not everybody realize, what it was, how much it would appreciate. There's a famous story of somebody who paid for his pizza with Bitcoin, and if he had kept those Bitcoins that he used to pay for the pizza, he would be a multi millionaire now. So Veltrxa, the Vel token right now is in that 0.0001 moment. As a matter of fact, it's even cheaper than that right now. And we're going to have an official launch in August. And these benefits, as I mentioned a while ago, are only going to be available for the next 5 weeks or so till the end of August. The high returns and so on. And so, in other words, the timing of you being on this call is very, very significant. So, what do you need to do now? You need to do your own research, go and check all the sites that we told you about. And if you are not ready to go, all in with a significant investment, then start small. See how the staking works. And once you're convinced that they're actually giving you what they promised they would, then you can maybe increase your stake in it. And if you know some people that can benefit from it, then become an ambassador. All it takes is for you to get a referral link is to start with $100 worth of Velt, and you will automatically get a referral link. All right. So again, some of the disclaimers: only invest what you can afford to lose. Cryptocurrency markets are volatile. This is not financial advice. When I say, start small, none of what I say should be construed as financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial professional. And if you are a follower of Jesus, if you're a person of faith, then you ask God, to give you that amount, because then you will have a peace about what you invest. And if you're married, definitely talk to your spouse before investing, because you don't want this to disturb the peace, in your marriage, or cause any strife. All right. So here's what you do. You get back to the person who invited you and ask for their partner link, because everybody comes into our ecosystem through a referral process. Now, if you came here without somebody actually inviting you, if somehow found out about this and you got on here and you're not part of the ecosystem, you can send me a message on WhatsApp or by text message if you're in North America. That's my phone number, and I can, give you my partner link. You can also use the other link below that, and I'll put these in the chat as well, so it'll be easier for you to copy. Otherwise, you have to just take a screenshot right now and use it, and so you can do that. But if somebody invited you, then that is who you get back to, because you want to be tied to their team. I'm just doing this presentation on behalf of the entire team, so that people that I invite personally can benefit from it, but also others as well.